You are listening to the Half Weebs podcast, a show where two veteran anime fans drag a newbie down the rabbit hole of waifus, isekai, and fan service, as well as the happenings in the gaming world. Enjoy.
All right, everyone, hello. 2.5 Weebs again this week. First time on Twitch. Hello, Twitch. If you're over on the purple place, Comfy's blowing his ocarina.
I'm not blowing into it because it would make very loud noises.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that got brought up because of that. That was such a fun time. So yeah,
there were some shenanigans.
That was some fucking fun time. So yeah, Copper, Comfy, how you guys been this week?
Sick.
Sick? Oh no. Well, I'm sick of you, so it fits.
I'm sick of your bullshit.
Yeah. I'm also a bully. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've been bullying me really hard right now.
I'm always a bully.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that.
Sometimes.
It's been a very busy week this week. Lots of cool stuff going on. Lots of fun things.
Mm-hmm.
My bot's not actually turned on right now. I should fix that.
Yeah, some of us are cool enough to get Valorant access.
I got Valorant access technically twice because I had a friend who got it, and he told me that I could use his account, so I was able to play it day one.
Fucking Addison, who is a mod for me, got account access, and he wouldn't let me use his account while he's at work 80% of my streams.
See,
Jerk.
okay,
I'm just
so
kidding. I love you, Addison. Don't be mad.
I had a friend, and we were all in Discord. We were all really wanted to play Valorant because we were all Overwatch people. And some of us played a little bit of CSGO as well. So we all wanted to play Valorant, and we were all looking for keys. And he got one in the first 15 minutes, and I was like, "Hey, can I borrow it for stream while you're at work?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How much do I have to pay you?" He's like, You can just play it. I'm not going to be using it. Unlock me heroes."
Wait, you have to unlock the heroes?
You start with 5, and then there's 5 unlockable ones that you get.
Okay.
You get one at like some amount of levels, and then you get another one like 5 more levels after that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You have to unlock just a couple of them.
Cool.
But it was like, hey, unlock stuff for me for free, and I was able to play on his account, and then my account got in, and I haven't really played since then because I'm in Serbia apparently. Of all the places. Now, granted, my Riot account, or my League of Legends account specifically, which has the username "Hey, would you blow me?"
Hey,
was hacked. Oh, speak of the devil, the person that I used his account is in my chat.
But now you have your own account.
Yeah, now I have my own account, but I can't play with any of my friends, and I can't play with less than 180 ping because it thinks I'm in Serbia.
Yikes. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to send them a ticket or whatever.
Yeah, I sent them a ticket. They're working on it, allegedly.
I'm sure that they don't have 800 things to work on right now.
Oh, they have so much going on right now. It is unrealistic to think that any minor issue could get fixed that quickly.
No, it won't. It'll take a while.
I have a question in the similar vein here. Dale, how's Argentina?
I don't know. Through the magic of the internet, it only thinks I'm in Argentina. However, I am still in Ohio, where, listen, at some point last week, I drove home with my window down because it was a beautiful fucking day. The next morning, I had to wipe snow off my fucking car because Ohio sucks.
There's nothing wrong with Ohio. Except the snow.
Regardless of snow, Ohio sucks. Let's just
Ohio sucks for lots of reasons.
Ohio quarantined, not because of COVID-19, because it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That was such a good meme.
Yeah, I kind of fucking hate Ohio. I really do. But hey, it is what it is.
Now, personally, I'm still in Canada, so I can log into my Valorant account. I have no plans on using.
Canada.
Did you get a key for Valorant?
I did, and mine works.
That's amazing. Of course, Copper got a key to a game that he would never play.
Yes, I got a key to a game I have no interest in playing, ever.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the funniest things to me about Valorant, because Riot has always been a very polarizing company in terms of the games that they make. Like League of Legends, you love it or hate it. Valorant, every single person I've talked to about Valorant has either said it looks like the greatest game ever, I can't wait to play it, or I have no interest in it, it looks terrible.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that is honestly always the games that like
there's just
have staying power though.
No in between.
Right.
See, for me, it's like the reason I got a key is because some of the streamers I like to watching, like Dr. Lupo and Seagull, have been playing the shit out of that game.
Right.
And I like Dr. Lupo and Seagull were both on my computer for extended periods of time this past week.
And the thing is, I just don't care to play the game. Like, it's nothing against the game itself. It's just
not your type of game. That's fine.
not my type of game. I was just watching streamers that I enjoy watching.
Yeah.
And so
no, and that's totally fair because it's also very, very. It's just Counter-Strike, and if you don't like Counter-Strike, then you're not going to like this game.
Yeah, it's Counter-Strike with some abilities. That's
basically I like Counter-Strike. I like the idea of a more updated Counter-Strike. And then also having some new updated ability and then having the cool abilities is kind of dope too. So like, yeah,
this is the more Counter-Strike side of like updated shooters, where I've always said that like Rainbow Six Siege is like Counter-Strike if it was updated to modern day.
Yeah,
but this just takes Counter-Strike's shooting mechanics and updates the game around it to modern day.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you can deal with Counter-Strike shooting, this game is awesome. But other than that, it's it's what you make of it.
Shark also got Valorant access, and I want to play with Shark and everybody else, and I'm not cool enough. Sad about it.
See, I'm not a CS:GO person, so
right. No,
I just happened to get one because I was watching. Like, I got mine at like 4 a.m. because I'd left Lupo on while I was watching Lupo in bed and fell asleep, and that's like just what happened with mine.
Same
so
French.
Like,
one day we'll get codes or access.
Yeah.
You know what I did get though? A bunch of ESO drops.
Nice.
Yes. I've been getting a shit ton of those.
I get one a day. Like actually, like I've been getting one a day. It's cool.
Sherry.
Because I have been streaming a whole bunch of ESO on the Twitch for the first week of being on Twitch, and it's been a fun time. So we keep playing ESO for a bit.
ESO is a good time. It's probably one of my favorite MMOs.
It's a good MMO. It's fun.
It is a good time. And on that note, I'm actually going to stop playing so we can focus on the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast about anime. We should probably mention anime this week.
There is one more game that came out this week that's like super important. Something about
Final Fantasy. I think we can.
The Final Fantasy game that came out.
We can talk about that.
I'm not interested.
I have, so we can talk about that in a bit. Yeah. So, anime.
Anime. We watched a show this week.
Yeah, we did.
We did watch a show.
It was
a show that is new and that is out, but not quite out in the way that most people are going to be able to watch
also,
it yet.
I was informed today that it is being delayed.
Is it?
Yes.
What, like, BNA?
Yeah.
Delayed for North American release? I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Not that the show's not finished, guys. Like, there's more than, like, there's 6 episodes out there.
Right.
It's just, it's being produced and distributed by Netflix. Actually produced, it looks like, by Netflix as well.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up...
So, with everything going on, and, you know, everybody around the world from animation studios and stuff like that having to work from home,
localization is difficult.
No, it's being delayed from the source in Japan. Jerry says,
that's not surprising because of animation studios are basically closed.
Right.
And trying to do animation from home is probably insanely difficult.
Right.
It's not very easy.
Well, most people aren't going to have, like, even professional animators are not going to have the equipment at home to do that thing at home, because why would you? Like,
and there have been a lot of shows that were getting delayed. ReZero got delayed. Sword Art Online final season got delayed.
Yep.
Which that's completely reasonable. But then there's other shows, and this was actually brought up in my Discord. Kaguya-sama was not delayed, but it's also being produced by A1. And somebody brought up, it's like, well, why isn't this being delayed when Sword Art is? And it's like, well, they're very different shows with very different budgets.
Yeah.
And Kaguya, for example, takes place in roughly the same room with the same 4 characters, and Sword Art is like an adventure show.
Yeah,
which has a
it's
varying cast, a varying amount of backgrounds and stuff.
yeah, it's production size, like staff size and whatnot. Because you have a small staff size and a small studio, you can get away with still probably working in the studio by keeping your distance. But working in a studio with like a few dozen people, nope.
Yeah.
Um,
No. And like there
it's
are
more difficult.
anime
Plus,
studios that have very, very small teams as well.
yeah, and some shows that aren't delayed were already finished, right? They just weren't released yet. So there's that too.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's the same reason like you're going to have shows in North America here that for our live action stuff that's produced for major television networks. A lot of it's you're gonna get delays of announcements, like things are gonna be pushed back. I mean, shit, they just released was it Trolls World Tour, a major production picture, like motion picture, animation picture, on basically what is basically announced to direct to video, right? It goes, it's on streaming services now because
to be fair,
people can't go to the theaters.
If this was 10 years ago, it would have been a direct to DVD release anyways.
Probably not actually. The first Trolls movie did really well at the box office, weirdly enough. So the sequel is that's why the sequels
even then, like back then, a lot of sequels to animated movies generally just went straight to
Hello, Aladdin 2 and 3.
We don't talk about any of those. Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie. Aladdin 2 and 3 don't exist in my eyes. We don't talk about them. And also, one of my favorite comments somebody made about Frozen 2 when it was coming out was, if this was 10 years ago, you'd watch Frozen 2 from DVD first, and you'd be sad that Olaf had a weird voice. It's like, okay. But, yeah, and Disney Pixar released Onward.
Yes, Onward went super quickly to like Disney Plus and that. Good movie, by the way, if you haven't watched it yet.
I've heard it's Frozen for brothers.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of a it's hard to discuss their relationship without spoiling stuff for the movie. So it is definitely a coming of age in a non-nuclear family story.
Interesting.
That is very much about the relationship between these brothers, and kind of coming to terms with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but so we did actually watch the show this week.
We did.
Yes.
We watched Trigger's new show, BNA. Stands for Brand New Animal.
Yep.
Not that they use
I was thoroughly entertained. This is the greatest show ever made. I know Copper and Dale hate it. I love it.
Why do you think I hate it?
I don't know, furries.
I actually liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I want a dub because I hate subs. So like, especially because I know it's a Netflix show.
For sure, because it's a Netflix production, an actual Netflix production, which is interesting.
Probably one of the main reasons it's being delayed right now is because the localization.
Right. As soon as there's a dub, I will restart and watch the whole thing because it's good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So it's a new show from Trigger in production with Netflix. And it's not like one of those Netflix originals where it's like Netflix buys the rights. They're actually in, I think they're actually helping produce this, which is interesting.
Cool.
Because if they can help, like if they can start getting actual anime studios to make actual anime directly for them, that's going to be an interesting step.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. But yeah.
So the show is basically revolves around a girl who lives in a world where it's discovered over 10 years ago that animal people are real.
Beastmen, if you will.
Yeah, beastmen that they call.
Basically, people...
And they have the ability to shift between an animal form of some sort and a human. So this causes some issues in society because people are people and freak out about things that are different. And a city is formed with the help of a corporation where these beastmen can go and live in peace. It's a special zone, which, if anyone's familiar with anime, special zones are things that have their own rules and laws. And this one is for beastmen. Humans aren't really allowed in it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the setup of the world. This girl, our main character, basically wakes up one day and is a Tanuki girl. And she's like, what the fuck? I'm human. Why am I now a beastman?
Yeah.
And she then travels. Well, she runs away from home and goes to the city, having to contend with humans that try to kill beastmen called beast hunters, which is probably illegal because they're still people. Like, laws against murder are still a thing. When she goes to the city, and then has some basically gets caught up in things in the city because.
So I do want to point out, so she gets to the city and there's this huge festival and whatever.
Yes,
on the screen of the festival was a reference to another trigger animation.
Oh, was there? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it was the skeleton cop in all leather and flaming is a reference to another trigger animation.
I don't remember.
Which is really funny.
But
not surprising on triggers.
Yeah, Inferno Cop.
It started with
account for things.
It started with the Tanuki character girl.
Yeah,
she was trying to get herself to the city. And she's literally riding on top of a bus because she's like, I don't know, probably can't ride inside the bus safely.
No, beastmen are
afraid.
Yeah. Beastmen are ostracized in human culture at this point, and it's hard to tell when someone's going to attack you or not when you're a beastman.
Right.
And now most of them can shift between the human form and the non-human form. She's stuck in the beast person form.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have a choice but to hide what she looks like and whatnot. So she's riding on top of the bus, trying to get there. And, you know, unfortunately, she is somehow spotted, or the bus is followed by beast hunters because they patrol the area around the city. And she ends up getting into a fight with these group of people. And ends up getting
fight. She starts getting beat
up. No,
by
she doesn't get into a fight.
Yeah.
Like she's just they're about to murder
running
her.
away. But
she's running away. They surround her and like she's on the floor about to get the not good.
Now,
and then
at which point we have introduction of another character who's a recurring character.
Mary the Mink.
Mary the Mink. She has a couple henchmen with her. Who also turned to beastmen. One's a warthog, and I forget what the other one was.
A lion? Was he lion?
It's hard to tell. A big cat.
One was a boar. One was a boar.
It was a warthog.
You're right. I'm an idiot.
And a large cat of some sort. One thing you'll notice in this when you go through this anime, though, the large cats kind of blend into each other because, frankly, large cats
are
of certain types kind of look like each other, especially when you start like making them look anamorphic. So a large cat of some sort is the other one, I think. And they start assisting her for a fee, basically. She's basically a human trafficker who bring these people into the city. You know, kind of the thing you see where, you know, you have smugglers who basically do human runs across different borders to smuggle people from one country to another. That's what Mary basically is.
Yeah, she smuggles people into Anima City.
Yeah. And she says, you know, I'll help you get into the city, you know, for a price. And the price is literally every single, you know,
all the money you own.
Yeah, all the money she has is the price that Mary demands. She's like, fine, hands over a large stick of money. They beat the shit out of all the beast hunters, and they take her to the city on a boat. Once she gets there, the city appears to be deserted. She ends up in the city center. Of note is that she sees this ghostly wolf figure on top of a building. And then all these beastmen start coming in, and she's like, oh no, and then fireworks and celebration. It's apparently the 10-year anniversary of the founding of the city.
She got debated by a party.
Yeah, she got basically debated by a party, big party going on. She's like, yay, happy times. And then her wallet gets stolen.
By a little monkey dude.
By a pickpocket who happens to be a monkey man. She chases after him. And after having a confrontation with Mary, she assumes Mary works with the pickpocket. We actually don't know if they do or not. Throughout the full 3 episodes we watched, it's never actually resolved.
I feel like she didn't, but I mean, I could be wrong.
I feel like she knows the pickpocket, but she never set out to to rob her specifically.
Right.
She didn't like necessarily work with the pickpocket, but she knows him.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, she
Like,
definitely
works
knows
in
him.
the underworld.
Yeah.
It turns out that she didn't give Mary all of her money because she's not an idiot. I think Mary actually respects her for that, though, more so than if she'd actually given her all the money.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's chasing after this pickpocket, and the pickpocket is running right through the crowd, past a bunch of people, goes underneath this giant display in the city square, and she sees another guy who is like doing, like he's in a, I don't know, custodian, repairman kind of uniform thing, working with tools. He looks at her weirdly, gathers his stuff, and runs away. She loses sight of the pickpocket because of that, and then an explosion goes off, and the giant display starts falling on the crowd. People scatter, and she runs out to help an old guy who is like an old sheep. Can't run away fast enough because he's got like a little walker.
He's got like a walker, and he's shuffling, and she's
like,
all
oh
right,
my god,
you gotta go. You gotta move a lot faster than you are right now. Come on, man.
So she was trying to run him forward, and of course, you know, if you're running away from something falling at you, you don't run with the length of the object. You're supposed to run sideways to get out of it faster, but of course she doesn't do that. She ends up getting saved by a wolf, who then assumes that directly that she would cause explosion. Of course she didn't. He uses his sense of smell, his super sense of smell.
Good sense of smell. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is a touch point. We'll discuss this in a minute.
Oh yeah.
He uses his sense of smell to basically track the fact that she was telling the truth about where she was and that there was another person setting stuff off. He then trails that person, confronts him. Guy basically sets off another bomb, trying to kill the wolf guy. Doesn't work. They start a fight. Two more guys show up. One is a deer, one is a lion. We know this because it's a male, so he's got a giant mane. They all get into a giant fight. He kicks the shit out of three of them.
It's not even a fight. It's just they try, and he's just like, nah, bud, stop it.
This fight scene is so well animated.
It was pretty cool. It was very neat looking. It's got it. This show has such a unique art style. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
It's a very Trigger art style.
Yes, it's a very. The whole show is very, very stylized in terms of movement and colors and just how the characters look, even from moment to moment. Like, for example, in the fight scene, you have the lion who's using a shotgun. His proportions completely change, and his movement changes when, you know, their guns are basically taken away and destroyed, and he switches to using his claws. Right, he gets massive and huge, and so there's, you know, it's a very interesting form of animation they went with.
Right.
But it is 100% Trigger. Like, if you've ever seen a Trigger anime, you would recognize this being a Trigger anime just by looking at it.
The character designs remind me of what is it? Darling in the Franxx, and the like fight animations remind me of like Gurren Lagann.
The fight animation is probably the place you'd see it. You'd recognize Trigger's style the most, I think, with the way, the frenetic action which characters move. Other than that, the human forms, not so much. They're a bit different than their normal style, which is nice that we're not, you know, looking at the same thing all the time. And the animal forms are pretty decent as well. I mean, if you're a furry, this show's probably going to excite some people at some point, because there's a lot of that. But yeah, so the first episode ends with the girl stopping the wolf from killing, you know, the bombers.
Yeah.
And then over the next episode, we, you know, see her basically say, you know, I'm a human, I can prove it. My student ID, you know, shows that I have a different blood type than what a beastman would have.
Right.
Beastmen and humans, one of the ways you can tell the difference between them. There's these strips that they show that will show if someone's a beastman or not. But it's also mentioned, it shows that she is one because of the strip. But she mentions, I have a different blood type than what beastmen have, and I can prove it. It's on my ID. This leads her to try to track down her wallet, leading her to a place called Rabbit Town.
Oh man, it is not like Rabbit Hole at all.
which is actually it's a little bit like rabbit hole.
Oh God,
Is
you're
it-
right. There is. Never mind. I was gonna make
Yeah.
a bad joke.
So rabbit hole for anybody listening is the name of my Animal Crossing island, which is basically a giant brothel.
Yep. It's
Don't ask.
It's
You
a
probably
good
don't wanna know.
fucking time.
You don't have to ask
Only
to
from the
understand.
mind of Copper. Holy
So
shit.
Rabbit Town is the territory of a gang that is run by a madam who happens to be a bunny, called Grandma or something like that.
Grandma or something.
Grand Graham or something like that. Yeah. It's a strange name. She basically says, I'll give your wallet back if you teach these kids to read and write. Which she's like, okay, that's a pretty fair deal. Like, and she asks who they are. They're all orphans and stuff like that, she says. So she's like, yeah, I'll help you teach these kids that you're looking after for
Awesome.
getting my wallet back. You know, then another gang shows up, says that, you know, she's got, you know, a debt to pay to them. She needs to give them the money. He says, I don't have it. It's like, well, you've got to sell whatever stock you've got on hand sooner than you were planning to, because you owe us some money and we want to be paid. So then we cut to a scene at the docks where our main character is in a cage with all the kids. Apparently, our bunny madam was basically teaching the kids to read and write because they're worth more when she sells them if they're able to read and write. So she's basically doing human trafficking, and other things are implied. The girl basically tries to get them out of the cage. Turns out she can expand parts of her body, so she can expand her tail to a huge bushy tail thing, but that doesn't work. She ends up stretching her arms out and choking the crane operator who's lifting the cage onto the boat that's waiting nearby.
That looks ridiculous.
It looks super weird and strange, and
It's
the wolf guy
meant
shows
to
up
be.
and
It's
helps,
supposed to. It
helps
seems.
rescue them,
Yeah.
beats all the people up. They get arrested by the police. She's like, well, why didn't you come sooner if you knew these people were doing this? He's like, we needed direct evidence, otherwise we couldn't arrest them, which is true.
Yeah.
You know, you can't arrest people on suspicion of things if there's no evidence. So they basically let them, you know, caught them red-handed on purpose. They're like, don't worry about the kids. They're going to be sent to an orphanage that is run by the city. You know, that's on the up and up. And she's like, well, here's my, you know, she gets the her wallet back from the grandma bunny person when she confronts her again. And the grandma's like, look, I might be an awful person, but I'm doing this to survive. And, you know, it's easy to tell that you're not a beastman because you don't act like one of us. Where the law of survival is basically the rule of the city. Like, that's how the city works. So it's the strong over the weak. And she's like, you know, come back and complain to me again, you know, after you've lived the life of a beast woman in this society for a while. Basically implying that, you know, being female, which can be rough in normal society, is made worse in this society where strength and power is the name of the game, and the people who don't have physical ability are going to get stepped on.
Right. There was also a scene earlier where they were in line at like
The when she was trying to get her Beastman registration filled out.
Yeah. Basically, imagine you're in a line at the DMV, okay? And then one's like, no, I get to be in the front of the line now. And then they
Dad
fight for
walked
it.
up to the
They
front of the
literally
line
have a
and says,
fight
"It's
to see
mine."
who gets to be in the front of the line then. You're just like,
Yes.
yep, okay. And the winner takes the front of the line.
Yeah, that's the first point where they first point out this is the rule of the city, this is how things work, and people are okay with it, which is a little weird.
Yeah. We also kind of skipped over at the beginning of the second episode. The wolf dude brings her back to kind of live with him, kind of like he lives with a
She
scientist.
brings her back to the and it's an association that is basically for newcomers to the city,
Right.
to help them get acclimated to the city. It's run by a married couple. One is a doctor. He happens to be a rooster.
Who turns into a rooster and then crows at dawn, which is kind of
Yeah,
hilarious.
he's a rooster because, of course, he crows at dawn. And the wolf guy actually works for the association as a quote social worker.
I love like he is the most badass character in the first episode, and he showed up in the second episode. It's like, so who is he exactly? Oh yeah, he's just our social worker.
Yeah, like he's not a police member or anything like that, or a special forces person. He's a social worker.
He's a social worker. He's a hero in his free time.
Yeah, but then like you see pretty quickly on, especially in episode 3, the cops are like, yeah, we fucking trust this guy. Like the detective who is a bloodhound, which is a very good touch, is like, yeah, help us. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, most of the police are dogs.
Are they? Okay, I only noticed the one.
Towards the end of episode 3, they show a bunch of police officers. They're all dogs.
Gotcha.
All the men are dogs,
which is hilarious.
It's a joke.
Makes a lot of sense, but is also hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 3, she's got the ID back. She's like, look here. It shows right here. This is my blood type, which means, I'm human. So they're like, okay, you're obviously telling the truth that you were a human up until a little bit ago, which is weird and not good because this might cause a panic. In response, our wolf guy throws her into a room and piles a bunch of furniture on top of the door to prevent her from leaving. Furniture. And basically says, you can't leave. I'll feed you every so often, but
I have to protect you. Yada, yada.
But to protect the Beastman Society
and her
and whatnot, you have to stay here until we find out what the cause is. Because if anybody else found out that you were a human that has turned into a Beastman, it would cause massive panic among certain sections of the human population and the Beastman population, and the humans would probably kill us. So you're staying here. She's basically rescued. It is a really good point. She's insisting that she has a disease and wants to go to the medical center. They're like, we've never heard of anything like that. We don't know why you're a Beastman now.
Right.
The mayor shows up and is like, hey, there's been a bombing and there's been a threat issued by the bomber saying that I planted more bombs. The police can't find them quickly enough. Can you help us with your super sense of smell and locate the bombs? And he's like, sure, I will help. Our girl basically calls out to the mayor, and the mayor makes him let her out. And then she basically accuses him of a couple of crimes, which he's actually guilty of, such as forcible confinement and kidnapping.
This is one of the character moments that made me love this show. Was she's in this room locked and she hears the mayor conversing with the Wolfman, whose name is Shiro, and she screams, "Help me! I'm being trapped in here!" And the mayor just looks at Shiro, is like, "Did you hear a voice just now?" And he just looks at her and says, "No,
nope,
nope,
nope." What are you talking about?
It's such a blatant no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then she's like, he locked me in here, please let me out. And she's like, move all the furniture.
Yeah.
Just the character interactions between the two, regardless, was just very, for lack of a better word, human and well done.
Yes. So she cuts a deal with the mayor not to charge him with kidnapping and forcible confinement. If one, she's allowed to help, and 2, the mayor agrees, basically says, I'll help you find the cure or cause of whatever is, made you into a beast person, so we can get you back to normal. But 1, you have to drop the charges against him, and 2, you can't tell anybody that you used to be human because it would cause a panic, which she agrees to.
Right.
So he sets off to find all the bombs, tells the police where the bombs are, goes to help defuse them. During that time, she goes to the medical center. And while at the medical center, she meets, she basically spots.
He flies?
Sneaking in. She spots the fact that one of the people from the medical center is working with the criminal gang we had seen before, who had basically told the grandma bunny that she has to pay them. So they're working with them doing something. She gets caught by them. The wolf guy shows up, though, because he's been alerted by his little crow friend. Friend or pet, it's hard to say what the crow is.
I don't know. It is hard to tell.
And he's like, came to rescue you. Crow told me where you were. She's like, I've been calling you multiple times. He's like, yeah, Crow told me where you were. So
yeah,
he stops them. They get away. The medical center guys, though, have been watching this, and they're like, oh, crap. And set off an explosion in the building, in the data center of the building, one of the data centers, to destroy any computer records that were there about what they were doing and working on. They'd also recognized the girl.
Yeah.
And we don't know why they recognized her.
But
they
I
had
feel
a
like
picture
it's
of her as a human versus her as a Tanuki. So the human was the photo they had, and the photo as the Tanuki is how they were like, oh crap, that's her. And we don't know what the connection is to them yet.
It definitely feels implied that they're the ones that like made her a beastman.
Yeah,
they might have,
and it's definitely gonna
be. Yeah, the implication is that they're somehow involved in why she's now a beastman, but we don't know if they did something to her or if they did something to someone around her, right? Or just in general populace, they released something and she's one of the people who changed. Because there's a flashback scene we see where she's talking with a friend, and the friend, we don't know if this flashback scene is a dream or whatnot, but her friend turns into a beast person as well and is taken away by people in a black van in black suits.
And then she just runs the fuck away. Like she's
still human at that point. And then later on, she becomes a beast person as well, and her parents hide her.
And then she sends a letter to her parents, Mom, Dad, listen, I love you, but I'm not staying here.
Yeah, she left a note when she ran away to go to the city. So they set up this explosion in the building. They go, of course, the police now have arrived at the building because they've been tracking the bombs. So the girl, the chief detective, and our wolf guy all go upstairs to the explosion. They're like, well, there's something weird here. Like, there's no smells in here. And they confront the, basically the chief of staff. He's like, well, what are you accusing us of? Like, and the wolf's like, well, your hands also have no smell in them right now, and you guys have the capacity as a research facility to produce a chemical that do that, because normally you cannot get rid of smells otherwise.
No.
So he's basically guilty. He freaks out, shifts into a rhino. A fight starts, and then the other guy, who was also in the room but visible because he's a chameleon, basically grabs the girl around the neck, takes her hostage, runs away. The wolf gets to a big fight. The rhino ends up breaking off his horn, and the police chase after the chameleon and the girl up to the roof. This is also the shot where you can see the police are dogs. He basically confronts them about wanting, was it 1 million yen and
a helicopter. Yeah.
The girl stretches out her arms again. Basically starts hitting him in the face and gets thrown off the building. She gets rescued by the wolf. He gets arrested. And she has concerns about why he freaked out so much, because it seemed more personal, she says, than what this whole situation was. Like, his hatred of her and animosity towards her personally was very different, which we see from a couple scenes where the president of this company is basically like getting them to do stuff that they were somehow involved in whatever is with her.
Yeah.
So
it seems pretty obvious
unfolding about, why she's now a beast person. There's also the fact of, why can she stretch her body parts out? Like, that shit is weird.
Yeah.
So there's a few threads running through the show. There's a couple more episodes still out. To release up to episode 6. So, but I don't think anything is going to be super resolved. I'm not sure how long the show actually is supposed to be, if it's like a 12 or 24 show.
Yeah.
And it is delayed currently. So
I'm just going to wait for a dub, because like I liked it enough. Like, I definitely liked what I've seen, but I'm like,
it's a very interesting
I don't
show.
like subs, man. Go ahead and yell.
I know you don't like subs. Like, the voice acting is great. Like, if you like subs, the voice acting is great. Like, it conveys emotion when they're speaking. So you get the tone and stuff of everything is perfectly fine to understand. The animation, of course, is great because it's Trigger. Character designs are awesome. It's an interesting premise.
Yeah.
It's this very... It's a premise I've seen a lot more in the last few years, starting with Zootopia. Like, we had Zootopia from Disney, right? And that was a smashing success. And then there's been more and more shows where they're focusing on either anamorphic characters being in the show or being like the focus, and this is one of them. The other one is Beastars from last like 2 seasons ago for anime. It's like last year, which is also a really good show, and it has some very interesting points they make note of in the show, such as, well, you know, half of all animals are basically carnivores. How do they fit into society with, you know, wanting to eat meat when, you know, society is half the prey species that they would normally eat? Like, how does that work? And, you know, how does like interspecies things work and things like that? So they touch on all that. So it's a very interesting thing here. And they kind of touch on that stuff here where it's, you know, might is right, basically. And they get around the whole having to eat people thing because animals still exist in this world and people can turn between animal and human. So it's definitely a recommend for me if you can find a way to watch it. So
yeah,
it is going to be, because it's being, you know, in production with Netflix, it is going to be released via Netflix in North America.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've given a date on that yet. That is an actual official date because of things being pushed back and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be delayed, or they could just do the Netflix thing, go, here's the first 6 episodes and more will be later, right? Because
maybe they could.
Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, we're supposedly getting a new episode of Tiger King today.
Oh,
So,
today? Ooh.
I believe it was supposed to be Sunday, yeah, which
Cool.
would be today.
That'd be cool.
It'd be interesting, as everybody remembers
Yeah.
our Tiger King discussion.
Have you seen the theory that Jeff Lowe is Carol's original husband?
No, and we know he's not. Carol's been married 3 times, for one.
Oh my God,
she
we're
was
back
married.
on this?
I think who was it?
Carol
No,
was married
it was
originally, got divorced.
even on the jam.
That's when she met.
Oh my God,
Dawn, the guy
have
who
you
was missing.
seen? Okay,
Okay, so do you want me to explain what I'm doing?
what in the game?
Yeah.
There's
Do you want me
some
to
kind of
explain why
like
I'm flying.
there's some kind of like
So for people who can't see this because this is a recording,
I'm
company
just in the
is-
shooting range in Valorant, but I'm playing as a character.
he's messing around in Valorant in the shooting range.
Yeah. So the character I'm playing as is Jet, who has only movement abilities. So you can dash, you can fly up. But because it's the shooting range, there's no cooldown and no cap to your ability count.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just fly.
Yes.
So I was just floating around the map like a jackass for no reason.
uh-huh.
I don't know what character it is, but I've been seeing Seagull do this. He's been practicing his bomb jumps with one of the characters because she's got like 2 bombs she can throw out.
Yeah.
And there's a certain timing for it where if you time it correctly, you can go like twice as high as you would normally with it. And while you're in the air, if you throw one to the side and switch your view back straight forward quickly, you can actually dash forward with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been using that to try things. I saw him using it in one match where he basically jumped really high, shot himself around a corner and over top of a few boxes, and rocketed a couple of people behind him with their ult, which is hilarious to watch.
But yeah,
probably very angering for the other team.
Copper, if you haven't seen the shit that is making people talk, look in the Weebs channel. Like, there's the side-by-side image of like Carol Baskins next to her original husband, and then Jeff Lowe. Somebody's who was saying
her
it.
second husband or her original husband?
That's weird.
The first one, and they were saying
her first husband.
He could have changed his name and all that shit. And it's like, I don't know.
No.
I just think it was funny.
Jeff Lowe's
I think
not
it's
old
hilarious.
enough to be her original husband. It's specifically mentioned in the show she married someone who was older than she is by like, what, 10, 15
I have no
years,
idea.
something
I
like
just think
that.
it's a fucking hilarious theory.
Jeff Lowe is about her age now. So her original husband is probably much, much older.
Uh-huh.
But people are like, oh, look, he kind of looks the same. It's like, well, people kind of tend to look the same, really. But no, I don't think Jeff Lowe is her original husband. I think Jeff Lowe should be in jail. I don't think.
Oh, that absolutely. The dude, like, broke so many laws for so many different reasons. Like,
Oh, very much so.
he should be in prison. shouldn't be in prison.
Yeah,
for, the same
for
reasons as
specifically
other
for
people.
say, I don't know, murder for hire. It's
Maybe.
something he should probably be in jail for.
Probably.
But yeah, we were supposed to be getting a new Tiger King episode. I was pretty sure it was supposed to be Sunday, which is of course today. But I don't know if it's going to be.
We're supposed to get more.
Yeah, there's supposed to be one more episode.
One more episode. The rumor is that it's basically a catch-up episode. Remember, this whole thing was basically filmed over 5 years, right?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be coming out.
Apparently, John has teeth now. He bought teeth.
Yes. So John,
Yay,
the ex-husband, he's with a different person than the person he basically left. Like, remember how he slept with someone at the park? How he basically got them pregnant, and he left the marriage because of that, and basically left with her. Well, he's with someone else now. He has it was reported a few weeks back, he has a new job. He's basically just trying to keep his head down, and not, like, he doesn't want to be famous or anything like that.
I mean,
he did get oral surgery, so he has all new teeth and stuff. He's apparently clean, things like that. So he's apparently doing well, which is good because he never struck me as a bad person on the show. Like, a lot of the zoo workers who worked for Joe didn't strike me as awful people.
No.
So
no,
they were just trying to do the best they kind of could, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of which, we now have a donkey in D&D Copper. Guess what the name is?
Is it Tiger?
No, it's Carol.
Carol.
That bitch.
She's super mad about the whole next.
Oh yeah, of course she is.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, like, she thought the entire documentary was going to show her in a positive light.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how she would think that.
You can tell by the way that she was interviewed and the way that she interacted with everybody. She thought that she was going to come out looking like the most sane person out of all of them, and she was going to be the voice of reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out she looks just as psychotic as all of them.
Because she is just as psychotic as all.
Plus a murderer.
That's the thing. Like, regardless of if you think she killed her husband or not, she's fucking crazy. Okay.
Yes. Well,
Like,
here's the
you've
thing.
seen the pictures of her with her current husband, like, where she is dressed up in full, like,
cat stuff. Oh my god, it's insane.
Remember, she goes to legal proceedings, and she goes to political debates and stuff like that, where she's trying to get bills passed, completely dressed in cat print stuff because she thinks it'll make them take her more seriously. This is something she has said.
And believe it or not, all it makes people think is
You're crazy.
weird.
Like, because that's not normal. Like,
And
you love cat prints, cool. But if you're going to a business occasion dressed in the normal, acceptable business attire, even I know that, and I wear, most times I
Hopper
don't wear
didn't even
pants.
wear pants.
Most of the time, I don't wear pants. I mean, hey.
Yeah.
Like,
I've worked for a $25 billion company, right? I used to have to wear, like,
collared
full
shirts
business
and-
attire, like,
yeah.
stuff, like working all day. And one, I hate it. But I know it's part of the job. Like, if you want people to take you seriously in certain environments where that's the norm, you have to dress the norm.
Right.
Even if you
you have to dress for where you're playing.
Yes. And she doesn't, and she thinks if she dresses this way, people are going to take her more seriously because she's wearing animal print stuff. It's like, that's not how this works.
Not at all.
She's been giving interviews recently. She gave one recently where she's complaining that people missed the whole point of the documentary, which is that where, to her, the point of the documentary is that, cub petting is going on. It's like, that's not the documentary they made, girl. Like, I hate to tell you this, but
not.
the documentary they made was about the people who were involved in this illegal animal trade business, which you happen to be one of.
It started about the illegal animal trade, but then it quickly turned into, oh my god, what's wrong with all of these psychotic people living in the southern region of America collecting large cats?
Yeah.
It turned into an expose on these individuals who are in this animal trade, and she is 100%, despite what she says, in this animal trade.
Yep.
And has been for decades. Like, she's not getting her cats the same normal, legal way. Like, these are not animals that are, they're not bred in the wild. Like, she's getting them from places. So and she used to breed these animals herself. Yes, like she complained about cub petting and breeding animals, and she used to crossbreed species to try to make hybrids on purpose. Like this is a thing she did. So yes, you can say, oh, she learned her lesson and so and so. But did she, or did she just find a better way to make money? Because here's the thing. I'm a psychopath, right?
Oh yeah, we all know. We all know Copper is a psychopath.
Everybody, like, people joke about it. By accident, psychopathy is a scale. I happen to be on it. And the great thing about being on the scale is that it's super easy to spot other psychopaths. She is 100% a psychopath. She's on this scale somewhere.
Did you see the picture of her with her current husband, where her current husband is like dressed up in like almost nothing and on a leash on his hands and knees? I have. That was for a costume party. So that's still. I know. It's, but that aside, like, her whole thing, like, when you go through her story, and it's not even hearsay because she's the one who gives out this story, and other part of it is public record. Her whole thing in her life has been about monetary gain and moving up the social economic ladder. That's been her thing.
Yeah.
If you look over her actions, whatnot, that's always been her thing. Money is super important to her. Material wealth, ease of life. Except unlike normal people who go after this thing, being a psychopath, there's a few rules you'll step over if that's your goal. So do I believe she killed her first husband when he basically threatened to divorce her and remove all the wealth that she had, quote, gained?
Yep.
Yes, I believe she did. Because that's something that a psychopath does. If you become an obstacle to them in their path, they're going to remove you if possible, in any means necessary. Now, some of us murder, some of us don't. Those of us who do are much higher on the scale, and so she's up there on the scale.
Copper just makes furry art.
She's not a good person, despite what people have been trying to say. It's like, oh, she was a victim of what?
Yeah.
Of like, I've literally seen people say, oh, she's a victim, we should believe her. I'm like, cool.
Now, listen, don't get me wrong.
Like,
a dude threatening to kill her is traumatizing and terrible.
Now, she does say in a documentary that she was sexually assaulted, and it caused issues with her family. Cool. Okay. If that happened, I am sorry for her. And I'm sorry that her family was so shitty to her in that regard.
Yeah, free card.
But it doesn't mean that I should believe her when she says I'm not guilty of murder, when all the evidence kind of shows that something funky went on and she's probably involved, because 90% of the time it's the spouse that does the murder, or some other person who has the most financial gain, which happened to be her, and she also had the most financial ability for loss, which is a great motive, because she was basically going to be forced into a divorce, where there was probably a prenup in place, because the guy who went missing, Don, I believe his name is,
Don,
really smart with his, and like cagey with his money. Now, was he a good person? Fuck no.
Well, he was also like, he got her into like having large cats and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So he's the one who got her into the ability to have large cats. She was already interested in cats. She admitted that herself. She's always loved them, even as a kid. But she liked domestic cats at that point, because most people don't have access to large exotic animals.
Yep.
But he gave her that access because, one, Florida, and two, he had money. So money basically at that time period would allow you to do some things that are quite legal, and get exotic animals, which is what they did. They started breeding them. It's a thing. But yeah, it's. I just can't understand how she missed the point of what the documentary was, and she's like, I feel betrayed. It's like, why?
Because she's a narcissist. Like,
yes,
that was one of the points that we already came up with, but like, because of that, she thought, and you can tell, like, I picked this up during the first episode. You can tell she thinks that she is the voice of reason. She is the sane person, and she is going to explain why everybody else is bad, and she's the only person doing it right.
Yes, and that everybody should be listening to her.
Exactly. And the moment she finds out that A, she's seen as just as crazy as all of them, if not crazier, and B, nobody trusts her. Like,
oh yeah, she
flipped out. She's been going on interviews left, right, and center. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, she's super mad about shit, which is, you know.
And like a lot of people that were in that documentary are mad about it because all their dirty laundry came to light. Because they've been doing some weird shit for a long time and nobody has said anything because it's been relatively underground. Joe Exotic has had the most time in the limelight, and even then,
no one caught on to it. I mean, this is a guy who was
I read about Joe Exotic like every single year, almost like clockwork, because somebody posts something about him on Reddit. And today I learned. Like, they will post, like, have you heard about Joe Exotic, this crazy dude? Like, check out his website. All the way to the point that when he got arrested, I heard about it.
Yes.
Like,
like I remember hearing about him and his zoo, right? Which I always found strange that there's a zoo like this. I'm like, okay, that's fucking weird, but it's just, I chalked it up to it being the States and it being, you know, the States is a weird place in a lot of places. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But then as you dig more and like into these people as people, like there's weird shit. Like Carol Baskins basically probably killed her ex-husband. Joe Exotic used to be a police chief. And,
I didn't know that.
Basically got a bunch of people hooked on meth and forced them into relationships with them. You know, quote,
real. Like, don't get me wrong. We're not saying that Joe's a good person.
No, he's not. He's really that man deserves to be in jail. Like,
oh yeah, not like, for the reasons, not for the murder for hire thing, but he definitely deserves to be in jail.
Yeah, he deserves to be in jail for a number of reasons.
Murder for hire is
probably just as long. As he got a sentence for, if not longer. I mean, and then you have, you know, quote, Doc Antle, who runs the sex cult. Like, it's terrifying, honestly. Which is, you know, considering how these people run their zoos, like Joe was taking advantage of, you know, people just out of jail and homeless people and that. Carol takes advantage of hundreds of people, of college students and people who love animals. Like, she's taking pure advantage of that to run this business and make millions of dollars. Doc Antle runs a sex cult. He's taking advantage of, you know,
young impressionable women,
young impressionable vulnerable people. You know, which we saw from
the creepiest person on the
just the girls talking, and we have the person who used to be there who isn't there anymore. I have questions for that person's father.
Why would you drop off your daughter and walk away?
Yeah, if you remember during it, like, she's like, I want to go there and I want to work there, and he drops her off. He's like, okay, yeah.
Drops her off and says good luck.
Who does that? What kind of parent does that? Like, what is the home situation here? Like, I have questions about this.
Yikes.
So it's just a whole shit show, which I think is just, I think people are focusing on it so much is because we don't have anything else really to do, and it is a distraction from the other shit that's going on that is awful and probably and like overly like more concerning for most people. And they're like, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm going to focus on this thing.
Yeah.
Because at least in Joe Exotic's case, like, some of it's somewhat resolved. Like, he's been shut down somewhat. You know, he's gone to jail for the stuff he's done, things like that.
The animals at his zoo have been more or less relocated to better homes.
Yes. So yeah, it's basically a distraction from the shit show that is the rest of society currently.
Which is, man, because the rest of society is either mad that they're inside or mad that they're inside and they can't get codes to play Valorant. So
yeah, I'm curious because I'm basically a hermit. Like, as you guys know, I live in an island.
No, I thought you were fucking lying.
I don't really leave my house normally because I work here anyway. So
because he's not telling the truth don't mean he's lying.
Like, I'm curious about the extroverts out there who would go out like 3-4 times a week. Like,
oh my god, those poor people.
I can tell you how it's hitting my sister, who's an extreme extrovert.
Okay.
So my sister is very, very extroverted. She's currently in her senior year of high school. She is like,
oh no, a senior girl. Oh, that's even worse.
She's like full on class president, like engaged in the school all the time, goes to all the events and everything, hangs out with her friends multiple times a week. She is not having a good time.
I bet there's a lot of people
at that age, social life is everything at that age, right?
Yeah.
Like,
the moment that like we were sitting at the table and my sister was like, "I wonder what I'm going to do for my last day of school, my last day of high school." And me and my brother looked at her and was like, "You've already had your last day of high school. You don't get another one."
yeah.
It took like 5 minutes for her to process it, and then she just broke down because she was like, "I don't get the opportunity to like celebrate my last day of school."
Nope.
Like,
no,
and she's been having so many issues not being able to go out and see her friends and not being able to like leave the house. Like, it's
a thing. Like, a few weeks back, I had a friend who passed away. Not from the virus. He had a brain aneurysm, unfortunately. And there's no funeral. Like, that's just one of the things. Like, there's no funeral. There's no wake because you can't do it, right? It's not even like the outbreak isn't even that bad where I live. Like,
it's just for safety.
It's just a safety precaution thing. Like, it's the standing rule is what it is. Like, I read this morning, a couple of fucking knobs took a private jet from London to France.
Did you see?
Because they wanted to go on vacation.
Did you see
they got
who was
caught
on the plane?
I didn't see who it was. It was.
Oh my god!
The thing I read was it was 7 men and 3 women.
Did you see
and they got
ages?
Yes. So the men were like mid 40s, early 50s, and the 3 women were low to mid 20s, and they were going on
25, I think.
Yeah. So they were going on vacation to Nice, which is a nice place. And of course the French police caught them, and they're like, "Fuck off, like go back home."
They turned the plane around and said, "Go home."
Yes. The foreigners were not charged with anything. They had hired 2 helicopters to take them from the airport in France to their location in Nice. The pilots of the helicopters got charged with very large fines. So it's like, what were you thinking? It's like, why? And then
like why would you think that's okay?
Yeah.
And then the article went on to talk about how people who are doing stuff like this, because they've caught other people in a few other countries in Europe doing similar things, have turned out to be super spreaders of the virus. So they're, rather than infecting like a few other people like you would normally do if you had it and were not taking precautions, these people were infecting dozens upon dozens, if not hundreds of people.
Oh, well, I mean, did you hear what happened in Colorado when the outbreak was first happening?
No.
So before they closed all the ski slopes, there was a group of like Australian tourists who thought that they might be sick, and they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, you have all of the symptoms. Just quarantine yourself for a week. We'll get the tests back to you, and we'll let you know."
Right.
And would you like to guess what they decided to do?
They kept skiing.
They went skiing.
Yeah. Would you like to guess what their tests came back positive as?
COVID.
I'm gonna guess positive.
Yeah.
And with the virus, yeah. Of course did.
So, as you can guess, they're probably solely responsible for majority of the outbreak in Colorado right now.
Oh, probably they would have infected everybody around them, who then would have infected other people because they didn't know they were infected. And
there was actually an Australian doctor who was explaining the math behind like how many people you can infect by not being careful. So, like the flu is like a 1.4. You have an infection rate of 1.4. So if I infect one person, if I infect the fullest amount of people that I can with the flu, and then they infect the fullest amount, you go 10 levels deep and you've infected 10 people.
Yeah.
COVID-19 has about a rate of 3. So if I infect the full amount of people that I have, and then they infect the full amount of people that they have, you go 10 levels deeper at 59,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
This is why they're like, this is
Exponential
bad.
growth is a hell of a drug.
Well,
So
I don't really want to call it your country, but you guys now have almost half
okay.
a million cases.
Yeah, you
like,
can. No, it's fine. We're fucking idiots.
And there's
Well,
people
not like
in the States who are like,
me and Comfy aren't. We're fine, but like other people are.
There are people in charge that are doing things improperly. There are people at the bottom level of community that are doing things improperly. If we want to break down everything going wrong, we'll be here all day. I think at the end of the day, we can bitch about it, but like, we might as well just wait until it's all over, and then we're gonna look back and say, all right, which assholes screwed us?
Oh, the people
it's
who
probably the person who got rid of the pandemic response team. Probably had something to do with this.
That person did more than that, and that person still might be your next president.
Oh, fuck me. Stop it. Stop it. All right, welcome to the Not Anime podcast. We talked about we're doing the next anime. We've already discussed which one we're doing next, right?
Tower of God.
Yes, so we noticed, well, I noticed that Tower of God, as of last week, had 2 episodes out. Looks like the new episode drops on a Wednesday. So, for next episode, since we record on Sundays, we're going to do Tower of God, which is a very talked about anime adaptation of the most popular webcomic for manga. So I'm curious to see where this goes, because I saw a lot of buzz when the first episode dropped about the opening and about the episode itself. So I'm curious about how good it is and, how that goes, because I know nothing about this manga. I just know that people are super excited when they announced it and super hyped that it's out. So it's going to be interesting to watch, I think.
I have no idea what the art style even is for this show.
Yeah, I have no idea what the art style is. I don't know what the story is. I don't know anything about this. We're going in blind. I do know, the only thing I know is that it's basically a fantasy.
All right, now where can I watch
the fantasy genre?
Where can I watch Tower of God?
I don't know. Comfy, do you know if it's on Crunchy or anything like that? Crunchyroll? Okay.
Mr. Cherry Poppins is saying it is on Crunchyroll.
Is there a dub?
I don't know, because again,
I'd give it a hard, probably not.
Yeah,
it's a Crunchyroll original.
Really
interesting. So there might be a dub.
No, Addison says there's not.
Nah,
I just want a dub.
Only 3 episodes deep, so
that's the only time I'll actually continue watching a show after the 3 episodes, usually, unless it's like something that I'm really fucking interested in.
I still gotta watch more Gridman, because I'm still enjoying that.
Too. I actually enjoyed it.
So the other thing we mentioned we were going to talk about is Final Fantasy VII came out.
Yes.
The remake.
Yeah, it did. And man, I have not touched it yet.
How many episodes are there going to be? Because what they're doing is they're splitting.
There are going to be 3. So the original Final Fantasy VII game is insanely fucking long.
It is about 40 hours of straightforward gameplay. Means no side questing. It's like if you just
that was just the
Final
original.
Fantasy VII
was about 40 hours straight storyline, which is insane because there are a huge number of side quests and stuff like that to do in that game if you want to get 100% done for collecting all the different materia, the summon materias, all the weapons, all the optional bosses, the optional characters. Like, if you went and did everything, it probably doubles length of the game back then, at least. So for the remake, they're splitting it into 3 games, and in addition to the stuff that was in the game the first time around, they've actually expanded upon certain sections and added side quests in and things like that, and expanded the storyline out so it makes a little more sense and things are a little more explained.
The first third of the game, which I want to point out, combat is significantly faster now because it's not turn-based.
Yes, combat is action-based.
So combat is significantly faster. There's no random enemy spawns, or significantly less random enemy spawns. So you're not constantly just engaging. It's more set. The game, no side quests. The first part is roughly 35 hours.
Yeah. And there are a lot of side quests.
So that's the first episode, basically.
That is the first chunk of the game. The other 2 have not been released yet. We don't know any information on them. But the first third, which people were complaining wouldn't have enough content for them, already has more content than the original Final Fantasy VII almost.
Yeah, so the game is probably about 50, 60 hours, I would say, all told. I'm still very early in my gameplay through. There's a lot to do. There's lots of side quests. There's, materia you can get from only doing side quest stuff, or optional activities. There's weapons you can only get from doing that. So if anybody remembers Final Fantasy VII, the original, the first part of the game, which is what this focuses on, is kind of linear. So this game is a little more linear than open world than what people would probably expect. Episodes 2 and 3 of the remake are probably going to be a lot more open world, because that's just how the game worked. Because as you went through the game, you got the ability to traverse the world in a different way. Like you get an airship or chocobos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you get an airship or something.
Yes, you do get an airship. You can also breed chocobos in the original, where they would allow you to travel over mountains or rivers, or the one that would basically could go anywhere type of thing. So as we go deeper into the game, like into the remakes, we're gonna get the ability to travel around a bit more. But the first one is a little more contained, but it's also the setup for the story. And I haven't been playing this off stream extensively, in part because I'm playing it while the girlfriend watches. She's a big fan of Final Fantasy ever since getting into Final Fantasy 14. So, but she never played the original Final Fantasy.
I never did either.
I played a good bit of it, but I never finished it. I made it to Shinra Tower. So
yes, which is very.
It was about 8 hours in.
Yeah, it's not super
far in, but like I met some of the main characters. I did a lot of the work.
I mean, the original came out in 1997.
Yeah. So
depending on your age, you may not have been at the age you were playing them. I think the girlfriend would have been like 5 at the time. Coffee, you're probably around a similar age.
No, actually, when Final Fantasy VII came out, I was -3 months old.
You're -3 months old. Okay. So, like, there's a good reason, like, a lot of people haven't played this. Like, I've been seeing gamers like, oh, I can't, believe these, quote, new fans getting to this remake who never played the original. It's like, yeah, some of them weren't alive. Like,
I literally was not born at the time, and I had gone back to try to play it in retrospect, because I know that it is a very important game as a cultural shift from 2D Final Fantasy to 3D Final Fantasy, and it's one of the most beloved stories in gaming.
Yep.
Regardless of how convoluted and stupid.
But have you played Legend of Dragoon? Because I played that one.
I did not.
That's another game I kind of hope they do a remake for.
That'd be dope. I'd play Legend of Dragoon. Yeah, because
I played a sequel to that game too. But yeah, so the game is very different and similar. Like, the story is basically the same still, but they have expanded parts. The turn-based combat has been replaced by an action-based combat system. So you're in control of one character. You can switch between them, and you have your normal mana and health bars, right? That you have to manage.
Right.
But in addition to cast spells or use items, you have an action bar that fills up, and it has segments to it. And each time you cast a spell or use an item, uses a number of segments from the bar. So let's say you get hurt and you don't have anything filled in the action bar. You can't cast a cure spell until that bar fills up, until you have enough to cast. Or use an item, stuff like that. So it's very interesting. It is very challenging on normal, which is cool, especially some of the boss fights.
I heard that classic is too easy.
There's only been one encounter so far in my playthrough that I didn't feel was balanced quite right. And that's when you're on a motorcycle. It's just because the movement and all that on the motorcycle, there's no way to dodge like there is normally in normal combat. Like, you can normally just dodge freely. There isn't that when you're on a vehicle. And so there's certain parts of it where enemies using certain spells and stuff like that, where it's more difficult, I think, than it would normally be. And there's been a couple other things where I'm curious to see how they're going to translate that to mouse and keyboard. Like, there is one thing where I'm trying to open an optional door to go somewhere, get stuff, where it's like, do this stuff at the same time using the thumbsticks. I'm like, okay, no problem. But there's no thumbsticks on a mouse and keyboard, so if it's just buttons, it's going to be way, way easier than it would be on the controller. So I'm curious to see how that's going to translate.
And we don't have PC confirmed yet, but
I'm guarantee you it's coming to PC.
I expect at some point, but
I'm
probably
pretty sure they mentioned it was coming to PC later already.
I was actually looking it up while you were talking. We have no confirmation to PC.
Yeah, they're gonna release this on PC. I don't.
They've hinted at it, but
Yeah,
the only reason I say that is because Sony.
I do not expect this to come out in PC until all 3 parts are out on PlayStation.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That I can.
So we're gonna get all 3 parts on PlayStation, and you might even have to wait until it comes out on PlayStation 5 as the full thing, as a bundled package, and then they're gonna release it out on PC, and pray they put out the bundle instead of a piece by piece on PC, which they could also do because they have to localize, like they have to shift it over, right? It has to be ported. So, but yeah, it'll probably come out to PC, especially since Sony is now putting out their older exclusives to PC, which is kind of the plan they're going forward with. Which I'm happy with, and it's cool. Like I'm happy more people get to experience some of these games. And if you haven't played some of them, like Horizon Zero Dawn is probably the forefront of the ones putting out. Go play it, please. It's so good.
It's on my list of games to play.
It is one of my favorite games.
I've heard nothing but incredible things, and somebody's already given me their PlayStation account to play it. I just haven't taken the time to do it yet.
The only thing I will say is that when you're going through to play, and there's lore you can collect and read, make sure to collect and read the lore, because it is they did a lot of world building, and the world is very, very fascinating. But yeah, the Final Fantasy is great. It's like playing a cutscene. That's how good the game looks.
Yeah,
like, it's insanely pretty.
I was very impressed with the look and the feel and the combat.
Oh, the combat feels super good.
I'm not a huge fan of a lot of turn-based combat stuff. Final Fantasy VII was good, but it was like it still felt really slow because it's turn-based combat.
Yes.
But then when I played the beta, it felt a lot more like 15's combat, which they said it was kind of modeled after. Kind of like a hybrid between 15's combat and then the action point system that they had in Final Fantasy VII.
Yes. So this feels better
really
than
good.
It feels better than 15's combat. If you ever played 15.
I have over 100 hours in 15.
Yeah, so 15 a good game. This feels better combat wise. I'd like to see this combat go forward with other games. It's that good, I find. I'm curious to see, and I don't want to look anything up until I'm done the story, about what they're going to do about level, because levels are still a thing in the game, and this is only the first of 3. So I kind of want to know if there's a level cap and stuff like that, but I don't want to see about that until after I'm done, because there is, when you start the game, you have a choice of 3 modes. You have a choice of normal, easy, which apparently, according to Kotaku, who can't make up their minds about things, is too easy. And then there's a classic mode, which is gives you more of the.
Kotaku said was too easy.
Classic mode is the same difficulty as easy. It literally, when you are going through the modes, it tells you about the mode, because of course it does, like every game does. When you go to classic, which is listed below easy, it mentions this is the same combat difficulty as easy. It's the combat is set up so that you have more control about going through menus and stuff like that. It's a little more like your turn-based.
It's but
than the
what
normal
that ends
combat.
up being is that.
But because of that, the combat is
auto attacks for you.
Yes, it auto attacks and stuff like that. Because of that, though, the combat is much, much simpler. Like, so the game is actually much easier, and enemies are easier because you've basically chosen an easy mode with a auto attack system and easy enemies. Like, the game is very blatant about this is what this is. It's for people who want to, and it even says it's easy. Like, these modes are for people who want to experience the story, but
there's nothing wrong with that.
But don't want to or can't do the the more difficult combat that the normal mode has. And that's an accessibility thing for various groups of people who are younger, who just not used to this type of combat style game, or don't like the combat style game, or who have disabilities. Like, they're there for a reason. And Kotaku's like, this is too simple.
Well, this is
Play it on normal.
about Kotaku. Kotaku, I saw a great image where somebody just put 3 articles from Kotaku and said this sums up like my problem with games journalism in one piece. There was an article from Kotaku that said maybe every game should have a super easy mode. And it was talking about Breath of the Wild and how it should have a super easy mode so it's more accessible. There was an article from them saying that Sekiro was a bad game because it didn't have an easy mode, so it was inaccessible to people, which is false. Sekiro is a great game. Changed my mind. And then there was
it sucks. You're wrong.
Fantasy VII's easy mode is too easy.
Too easy, yeah.
Like it's literally them complaining, and the what makes it even worse is they're all different authors and they're all published on the same site, so it all looks exactly the same.
Yep.
And that's the problem. Like you're gonna have it's different takes from different gamers, which is kind of how gaming is. Like,
yeah.
And the people writing these things are writing from their point of view, which is fine. But as a journalist, you should be looking at why is this thing here in the game? And if it's an easy mode, it's probably accessibility. Right? It makes the game more accessible.
Why? That's why easy modes exist. They exist because of accessibility. Like
now, certain games that are, say, like the Dark Souls or Sekiro, are not going to have an easy mode because it goes against the point of the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
These games aren't about their story; it's about the combat and challenge of playing through it.
Yeah,
it's so that's why that's there. Like it doesn't; those games don't have those modes because of that matter.
Exactly, but it's like the Kotaku is infamous for bitching about those games being too hard and being inaccessible when that's the entire point.
Yes, the point is to make them ungodly punishing because it's supposed to be a challenge for people who want to play that challenge.
Yeah,
like
the design philosophy behind Dark Souls and pretty much every FromSoft game, by the way, just so you understand, for anybody who doesn't know, is to make the most punishing possible encounter that kicks your ass so many times that when you beat it, you have an incredibly
so fucking satisfying
source of satisfaction.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes. And they're not like the games are set up so they're not random. It's like here's the enemy type, here's the attacks they do. Learn this, and you can defeat this enemy with no problem.
Yeah, and Steph says a good point that it's pretty much every single site. Polygon has been great at being unable to beat the first level of Doom 2016 or the tutorial level of Cuphead in the past, and bitching about how those are too difficult.
Yes.
Fun fact. They're really not.
Not at all.
My only problem with From Software is that they have not given me a new Armored Core or an Armored Core MMO. That's my problem with From Software.
They haven't given me Sekiro 2 yet, so
they're going to on that.
They better listen. That game was so good.
But
yeah, I would
love
to play an Armored Core game.
A new Armored Core, especially one that was an MMO, would be so insanely good.
Now, I only remember playing Armored Core when I was very young, and I think it was too advanced for me at the time to try to play it. But I always liked.
Oh, they're just as hard as as Dark Souls.
I've always liked giant robots, as many of you know. So, can I get an Armored Core game on my PC for dirt cheap on Steam?
Yeah. For those who don't know, Armored Core is a game about piloting a giant mech, where the mechs are extremely customizable in terms of weapon loadout, speed, how what body type they have, how they move, which then affects weight is a thing and stuff like that. And so is energy, like for fuel. So it affects how slow you move, how fast you move, if you can basically fly or not. There's a huge number of things. They're extremely well received games, but they've never been like a normal From Software game. They've never been massively popular, wide mainstream. Like the Dark Souls games, they're very, very niche market wise.
Yeah.
Though I think if they put out a new one, it would probably come out pretty well because we haven't had a even halfway decent
mech game in forever.
Mech game in a long while.
Titanfall, but that's also
Titanfall, yes, but
Titanfall, as much as I think it is one of the greatest games of our generation,
it's still not a mech game.
It's not a mech. You're right.
Don't
it's
consider
not
it a good mech game.
Yeah.
No, it's still not a mech game because you're not the mech. You're the guy inside the mech who's
Yep.
not inside the mech all the time.
Yeah, it's a good
And-
first-person shooter with like a mech mini game.
Incredible first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Titans in it are also great and actually very fun and balanced. But yeah, no, it's not. I wouldn't consider that a mech game. And I'm the biggest Titanfall defender on the free market. So
yeah, so I'd like to see a new one of those.
I'd be down.
Aside from Valorant and Final Fantasy, do we have anything new in gaming come out? I don't think we did.
No, pretty much everything came out last week because we got last week was Persona and COD remastered.
Yes.
Maybe unless we get a secret release, I think there's been where this is the time of us waiting to see if the games that we're expecting to come out are going to come out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like the only other real piece of news is Last of Us got delayed
Indefinitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Which,
yeah.
Which really sucks.
I don't think anybody should be surprised about, really.
It makes sense why they're delaying it, and they explained it. Basically, the game is done already, but they don't want to release a story-based game when where the story is really, really important and people might be spoiled because they physically can't play the game at the same time as other people due to our current infrastructure is kind of broken because all non-essentials are being delayed.
Yeah.
And video games are non-essential.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say? And it's nothing they can.
No, it's not. They straight up said we can't deliver the game to you guys, like physically deliver the game to you guys as we want to. So we're going to delay it until a time in which we can.
Yeah.
Which
makes sense. for story games it makes sense. Like you don't want people, I mean, one of the reasons they didn't they were so hard on Final Fantasy when people were getting it early was the fact they're like, this is a story-based game. We don't want you to spoil the new stuff we put in.
Right.
So
and
people were concerned about that. And Last of Us 2 is completely new. So I have here's the thing, I have no interest in Last of Us, so I'm not even care. It's like,
yeah,
I've never been.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna play it.
Resident Evil 3 came out. The remake of that came out.
Yeah,
it was a game.
It
was a game. I've heard varying accounts of it. Some people have enjoyed it. Some people are like, this ain't it.
I played it. It was Resident Evil.
Yep.
It was very pretty. It was very pretty. It was very well done. Hats off to the team. It's not my game.
Right.
No.
Never tried it.
I tried Resident Evil. This is not a Resident Evil thing.
I heard it was like incredibly fucking short. Like,
the game. So the game is the way that Resident Evil like 2, 3, and 4 are meant to be played is it's a relatively short game. So like Resident Evil 3 is like a 6-hour completion. And that's with all the side stuff. And so the point is you complete it once, and then with that completion you get a score, and that score gives you points, and those points you can use to buy stuff for your next playthrough, and then you do the next playthrough.
Okay.
So it's basically because it was how the games were designed way back when. It was an easy way for them to make it give you more replayability by just adding stuff to the game. So like the point where I'm at, I did one complete playthrough. I could buy a rocket launcher, an AR, or an unlimited pistol, or like an upgraded pistol, or multiple other options. I can buy different outfits and stuff like that. Stuff that will affect the game, stuff that'll just be cosmetic. And as an individual, that doesn't appeal to me. I'm not that into Resident Evil. I'm not going to continue playing, but that like it happens. It's how life be. But the people that love Resident Evil are going to play through it over and over and over again, and they're going to get a slightly different experience that is what they want.
Looking ahead, no, I don't know if any of these have been delayed because I'm just looking at an older thing for release dates. Notable things, we have tactics games from Gears of War coming out this month. The remake of Trials of Mana comes out this month as well. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Then
in a couple weeks.
Next month is when we get our next, I think, game that's going to be a big hit in terms of talked about, and you're going to see showing up in streaming sites and that, which is Minecraft Dungeons.
Oh, I can't wait for Minecraft Dungeons. I'm going to make Kaylee play it with me. It's going to be lots of fun because that game.
So I don't know. I know it's on multiple platforms. Like it's like coming out.
It's
for
going to
everything.
be on Xbox,
but is it
and then
crossplay?
it will be crossplay. It'll be just like every other Xbox game that comes out recently. It'll be if you play it through the PC Xbox Game Pass store, you can play with Xbox. Just like Sea of Thieves, just like what other game were we doing?
Playing Sea of Thieves last night.
Sea of Thieves is fun.
I need a crew.
We also have a bunch of the stuff that Switch, with the Switch coming out that, you know, Nintendo announced, the little direct thing, like the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
They're getting Bioshock.
The Borderlands Legendary Collection comes out as well in May. So a bunch of that stuff's coming out.
I should replay
quickly.
Bioshock.
Death Stranding is supposed to be coming out on PC in June.
Yep.
We also have the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor. That got pushed back to June 2nd. So it's only a week delay directly from developers. That was basically because things are a bit slower due to, you know, climbing themselves to working from home. So, because that's what their studio is doing. So things are going a bit slower than they thought they would be or hoped they would be. So they had to push the release date back by a little bit. Only by a week, so not awful. So that's coming out. That should be pretty interesting. Oh, there doesn't seem like there's a ton else besides that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some anime games coming out, like Sword Art Online, Fairy Tail.
Oh my god, the Fairy Tail game is coming out. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it is. It is a game. Like there's also a John Wick game coming out. So I mean, that's also a thing.
I couldn't give a shit about that.
I don't care about any of those you just mentioned, to be honest.
Good.
No, it's a cash grab because people are hype on Keanu Reeves for some reason.
Well,
it's because he's breathtaking.
Listen, I like Keanu Reeves.
Oh, that was the other.
Man, there's some weird cult worship going on with Keanu Reeves right now.
So there was two other interesting notes on, well, and especially in MMOs that happened. New World got delayed. Which is an MMO coming out from Google, I believe. There's the ones behind that.
What? Google?
I thought Amazon.
Amazon, that was it. So
that's
been Amazon is making an MMO called New World. People are very interested about it. It has been delayed, which is not surprising. According to sources who have played, who have gotten to play the game, like the unreleased version, they kind of need more time in the oven to bake this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another MMO that is probably going to show up in the news a bit more. Let me find the name of it here because they're going to get
I
by
like
lawsuits.
How do I get on this brick?
I don't know. Jump on it.
Use a grappling hook. Duh.
I mean,
that's not it. That's not going to work. That's a bad idea. Last time you completely lost all your progress. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's why I decided not to.
We're watching Comfy.
I'm trying to not use abilities because you're supposed to be able to do this with every character. That's why I swapped off of Jet because I was actually cheating the entire time. But yeah, I am providing visual entertainment right now while we're doing searching because I have just been, oh my god.
I miss watching you play Trials. That was my favorite.
Chronicles of Valeria.
Was your favorite?
That was my favorite watch Comfy play game while we podcast. It was Trials.
There was another MMO
Let me actually
that was recently canceled, and I say that with quotation marks because basically the guy making the game basically canceled the game, fired all of his staff, and then put out a press release that looks like it was written by his lawyer saying that he and a couple of people are going to continue working on the game for free until they can find new financial backers. It's just the way this was done. You're probably going to see this showing up in gaming news because there's going to be lawsuits. It's very much reading as he basically tried to scam a bunch of people and run off with money. So this is going to be popping up in game news, I think, as this kind of unfolds itself, which should be interesting to see happen.
So stay tuned for that shit. That'll be a mess.
It will be. But you know, it's the thing. And then later in the year we have things like Marvel's Avengers, Cyberpunk coming out.
I have
Cyberpunk
zero.
Is allegedly on. Is still going to be on time.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
I don't give a fuck about that Avengers game though. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't either.
I don't care.
I don't like the look of the characters in it. Like I don't like the art direction.
I don't
even know,
think
like,
it
what is it
sounds like
supposed
it's
to be
gonna
about?
be
Like,
an interesting game loop either. I just
So-
don't fucking care.
I'll just put this out. I have not played a single good superhero game besides the Lego ones. Like, I don't think, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I didn't.
Have you
enjoy.
played the Spider-Man game for PlayStation?
Okay,
I heard that one was
Spider-Man is a
good.
different breed of superhero, though.
Spider-Man has had good games. Like he's
I mean,
the
he
only
falls out-
superhero.
Also, okay,
Oh, and
I wanna point
Batman.
out, that was made by Insomniac, and Insomniac is god tier.
And then there's the Arkham
So,
Knights, the Arkham
it
series
is a-
too.
Yeah, the Spider-Man game
Insomniac
is.
made a game about an energy drink, and it's one of my favorite games of all time.
They did, yes.
Like, you can give them garbage, and they can make something amazing. Sunset Overdrive is hilariously good, by the way. Give us Sunset Overdrive
Yes.
too, please.
Um,
I want to
but
read.
yeah, if you're looking for a good superhero game, Spider-Man for the PlayStation is the best superhero game I've ever played.
Yes,
Yep.
I
Not even-
I 100% agree with you.
Like, it's not even a close call. That's the best one that's been made.
I can't believe it didn't cross my mind.
They will probably make the next time like Insomniac makes a superhero game, that will probably be the next greatest superhero game ever made, because that's just kind of how it goes. I really want them to do more superhero games.
Listen, I want Insomniac to make Sunset Overdrive 2, and I will pay top
Yes,
dollar
yeah.
for it because I'm a very big fan of open world games. I'm a big fan of stupid comedy. I'm a big fan of like Tony Hawk games, and that kind of hit all of the points somehow. So, like, the comedy in Sunset Overdrive was so good. I can't believe that game is still slept on.
Yeah.
Like, there was a point where you're talking to another main character, and she's like, "So, am I just gonna So what? Am I just gonna like stop talking to you all of a sudden?" It's like, "Yeah." And when I suddenly regain control of my body, you're gonna be nowhere in sight. And then it cuts out of the cutscene, and she's just gone because that's what video games do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
that
Yeah,
game-
then there's a ton of games that don't have release dates. They're kind of slated
Yeah.
somewhat for this year. That
Everything is
and there's
there's
a
an
bunch of
asterisk
interesting
around
ones in there,
everything.
too,
Like everybody knows the world right now. There's
there's
Things are
one
gonna be
in here
delayed.
I want Comfy to play though.
Oh, by the way, before we get too far away from it, I need to find a dating simulator to play on stream.
I have something for you.
I figured Copper would have something for me. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Like the game I just mentioned that I have something I want Comfy to play is
a dating
literally a dating sim type game.
Yeah. Is it something I can stream?
Yes.
You didn't sound
I
too
don't-
sure.
I don't know if it's out yet. That's why I'm saying. That's why it's a little. It's supposed to be coming out this year. It's for Switch. It's called Boyfriend Dungeon.
oh god.
Okay, well, we're gonna
Yep.
do it anyways. We're not.
All right.
Carrie, no, that game is not okay. That game's banned.
All right.
Yeah, that game is.
That game's
Not
actually banned because that dude's really creepy.
Yeah.
It is very creepy.
He is
The game, if anybody's wondering, it's called Super Seducer. No, do not play
It's
that.
it's
The-
like you can't
the
you
sec-
can't
the
stream that.
second one is slapstick comedy. The first one is legitimately creepy.
Yep.
So, Boyfriend Dungeon. If it comes out anytime soon, if I can find a release
Kato
date,
Hush.
you can play this one. It's basically a hack and slash dungeon type game where your weapons are also guys that you date.
Nice. All right.
Also, I
That
wanna
sounds
point out,
hilarious. I guess maybe.
I know we're wrapping up, but my name in another Discord now is Furry Comfimus because I said that I liked BNA.
Uh-oh.
But if we
Uh-oh.
can't find that, there's always Dream Daddy is a good one.
I haven't done Dream Daddy yet. That would be good. I know I'd
And
pick Ray.
it is
but-
streamable. Like I know for sure that one is streamable.
I mean, it was
um,
made by YouTubers. Like,
What's the other one? The
it was made by
monster
the
dating.
Game Grumps. Like,
There's the monster high school dating sim one as well. I don't know if you played that.
I have
Um,
full disclosure. The only dating sims I've actually played are Hotable Boyfriend and the one that 4chan made. That's actually really, really good.
Yep.
Do you remember what it's called, Copper? You know what I'm talking about? I forget it.
No, I don't know that one.
It's you have a heart attack and you go to a school for kids that have disabilities, and like every different person has a different disability that makes their lives harder, but they live through it regardless, and it's actually super sweet and really well done.
Oh, there's also the Colonel Sanders.
Doki.
There's also the Colonel Sanders dating game.
Yeah, but that's not fair. You just date Colonel Sanders. There's no other choices. I know that there's other choices, but don't get me wrong. Colonel Sanders is the husbando.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's fun. Comfy's gonna do some dating sims.
Find you something.
Yeah.
It's the issue is gonna be finding one that is streamable. For those who don't know,
that's the hard part.
Monster Prom. That's the name of the other one. Dating sims often have a lot of nudity in them and whatnot, and so that's a thing we have to be aware of if we're gonna have Comfy play something on stream.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be on stream. It was a stretch goal. We hit the stretch goal, and we're gonna do it.
Attack Helicopter Dating Simulator. That is a thing that exists.
Wait, Professor Broman has a dating simulator? It's a joke.
But yeah. Oh no, we can't do Honey Pop. Nope.
Nope, Honey Pop is banned everywhere.
For good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an orc dating simulator. The problem with some of these like offbeat dating sims is I can almost guarantee that some of them have like not okay bits in them.
Oh yeah.
Now, did you want, when you're looking for a game for this, did you want to find one that is like a visual novel style, or actually has like some more game elements into it?
You know what? I think we should just look for the thing that'll make the best content, regardless of the game content. We want something that'll either make me uncomfortable or make me laugh.
Because Dale just played a dating style type game, and he was bored out of his mind for a good chunk of it.
What, Doki Doki?
I literally almost stopped playing that game 4 fucking times because nothing happened, and then all of a sudden it becomes a fucking shit show.
Yes, it does.
Yep, that's exactly how it works.
And I fucking hated it up until that point, and I literally was just like, I can't fucking play this anymore. But I kept fucking clicking buttons.
Yeah, good.
And
yeah, it's
just Monica.
That's how it goes. I mean, when I watch Shark Dude, he's like, okay, and then shit started to go hit the fan. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's exactly how it works.
So yeah,
that's how the game works. It lulls you into a sense of like, and then you're like, what's going on?
So yeah.
Well, it even spoilers. I'm not even gonna say specifically what it is, but like it lulls you. Like the first thing that like starts and goes off, it lulls you into a false sense of security by giving you that same scenario ahead of time, but with nothing bad happening. Like it plays you.
It's just like
and
it's like, boom, you're like, oh no.
So yeah, next week we will be going over Tower of God. Tower of God? So yeah, watch the first 3 of that. If you keep up, it'll be cool. It'll be a good time.
It has a nice, easy name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can.
I'm curious about where it's gonna go. Like,
well, I can tell you where you can find me.
Yeah.
Find me at mixer.com/Confimus, Twitter Confimus, Instagram Confimus.
Copper.
You can also find me at Confimus. I mean,
no, you cannot.
I mean, you can find me in this chat, but you can find me at Copperline Designs.com or Copperline Art, Copperline Designs on Instagram and Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for me.
Then you can find me at Mr. Vengeance TV on Twitch. Then Instagram and Twitter is also Mr. Vengeance TV. Thanks for listening. Next week, Tower of God. It'll be a good time. We'll see you guys then. Have good weeks.